Welcome to this presentation with SPENN Technology. My name is Eirik Øresland and I'm an analyst with ABG. And with me today I have the CEO and founder of SPENN Technology, Jens Glaase. He will give us a 20 minutes presentation and then we will round off with some questions after that. So with that, I give the word over to you, Jens.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. I think I just jump straight into it, and thank you for the intro. So yes, my name is Jens Glaase. I'm the CEO and also the founder of this company. To give you a brief intro of what we are and who we are, SPENN is a company that was founded in 2015. I at that time looked into what is actually the big problem within financial inclusion. The fact is that approximately 2 billion people on this planet is without a bank account. In other words, half of the population on this planet is outside the financial system. And I was looking further into this issue, and if you really look into it, you will see that it's not necessarily the people that is the problem. The problem here is the banks. The cost for a bank to open and maintaining a bank account is somewhere between $35 and $65, which is, in many markets, at least the markets where we are operating, extremely high. Knowing the fact that these people have approximately $20 in hand, you understand that then trying to open a bank account where the bank has this high cost, they are kind of turning in to become their own enemy. So this is the real problem behind the financial inclusion. So what we were building here is a tool not very unlike Swish and Whips for you who knows that, or mobile pay in Denmark. It's a tool you can just, I will let you know when you can swap slides, so you can just keep it here, please. So it's kind of a tool which is similar to the Whips and Swish tool, but still much more complex. Now, and this is the clue: letting people coming into your system, making sure that we have a distribution in place, and making sure that people can download the app and start becoming a part of the financial industry. And not only that, but also for the people who typically would be a Swish or a Whips user, they will also use the SPENN tool because it brings the simplicity in their daily life, exactly what it do for me and you. Now, so what we are doing here is when people are starting to use the SPENN tool, they're also starting to generate a deposit. This deposit goes into the bank that we are partnering with, and by such, we become a deposit generator for that bank. And this is where we make money. Because in a market where only 20 to 30% has a bank account, where do the bank get capital from? They have to borrow it elsewhere. And this is where we come in. So we become their deposit generator. And by such, they can access this capital much cheaper than I can do anywhere else. And this is also our business model, at least the basic of it. So now if you can take the next slide, please. Thank you. So our mission is to connect individuals and communities with the global economy through advanced technology. What you see in front of you is a screenshot of the app. As you also saw in a previous picture, you will also see that we had a feature phone like this old button phones. This is still a big part of the market. In Africa, more than 90% has a mobile phone. Depends on where we are in Africa and which city and which area, but on smartphones, we're talking about 40, maybe even up to 60%. But still, the old button phones is dominant. Therefore, we have also created a tool where you can use these old button phones to send and receive money. And this is done with a hashtag menu. And you can deposit money and you can literally do all the services that we have included into the app. Now, as you can see on this screenshot, you see that you have multiple functions. You can view your balance, you can scan to pay, which is literally a tap and pay solution, where you can go to any merchant or you can go to any of our agent, and whether you want to buy something or you want to top up or you want to withdraw money, you simply just tap and pay and it's done. You can see that you can top up, you can cash out, you can of course do the transfer, you can buy airtime, you can buy data, you can pay bills, and much more, which I will come back to. So please swap slide. So this is where we are today. Sorry. We have approximately 1.2 million users today. We have 12,000 customers plus. We have more than 30,000 agents. And again, this is very, very important. This is all about distribution, and this is also where we build trust. Trust comes through the easiness of trust. We are today in 6 markets. Unfortunately, I haven't marked the other markets into this map, but we have Philippines, we have Rwanda, we have Tanzania, and we have Zambia. In addition, we have also notified the market that we are now opening up in Uganda. And we are also about to do or open our business in Ghana. There is multiple other markets which constantly is reaching out to us. To access a new market is not where we have a problem. There is a high interest also from central banks for us to come in, because we are actually helping them solving one of the biggest issues they do have today. As for you that know a little bit about Africa, they're facing 3 big challenges, and that is overpopulation, that is digitization, and it's also urbanization. And as you obviously understand, urbanization and overpopulation is not a problem for us, and neither is digitization, because that's what we do. So in this sense, I think we are in a perfect spot. And as you can see, we have done more than 100 million transactions, and we have done more than 230 million in transaction volume, $230 million. To the right, you will see our banking partners, Access Bank and I&M Bank primarily. Then we have also commercial partners. This is just a few of them, but this is typically a connect customer, meaning that a customer that is using our e-commerce tool or our SPENN business solution. And then, of course, we also have other partners. And for you who have followed us, know that we are now also part of the Mastercard Start program, which is on the very bottom there. We have got support from NORAD, where they are coming with a grant into every new market that we are launching into for a certain number of markets. I think it's the 5 or 6 next markets. United Nations, we have a cooperation with, of course, and also an Innovation Nova been with us since start. Next slide, please. Thank you. So going back to the problem, as I said, there is 2 billion people on this planet being outside the financial system. This creates a problem. The problem is that these people will be reliant on cash. And by being reliant on cash, they are also blocked from the financial system, which again leads to a large amount of unproductive capital, and they limit themselves to purchase and do savings opportunities, etc., digital. And of course, it also limits the bank for access capital. So this, all in all, leads to a very big untapped market. So if you, next slide, which you here can see, that is only in the sub-Saharan Africa, there is an untapped market opportunity of $380 billion. So if everyone would come and be part of the bank sector, either through us or any other services, that would increase the potential revenue with $380 billion for whoever is in that sector. Next slide, please. So a quick snapshot of where we are today. This is just an example. Rwanda is our 2nd biggest market. And if you look at this slide, you will see that they have recorded 36 million transactions. But what is more interesting is that they are actually now SPENN is now actually representing 20% of the bank's balance through SPENN. So 20% of the total capital of the bank is represented by SPENN. Next. Yeah, okay, fine. So this is pretty much the structure of SPENN. So all to the left, we have this bank or bank partners. Then we have SPENN, and then we have Consensus below SPENN, which is literally delivering the blockchain system that we are using. This presentation is a little bit unclear to me, but I hope you can read it. On the top right, it says the mobile bank. So obviously what we have as a, let's say a product spectrum within the app is you can send and receive money. Obviously, we have a savings account. And this maybe sounds like a no-brainer, but remember, in a market where so many people have not been used to having a bank account, where would they get interest on their money? Pretty much nowhere. There is some savings clubs, which is completely manual, but it's still outside regulation and stuff. So anyway, we have implemented a savings product where people now can earn 3.5% or 4%, depending on which market we're talking about, on their savings. And never been done before. Now suddenly, taking the first step out of the cash society, they also have access to this tool where they actually can, get interest on their money. I'm going to jump down to the middle right picture where it says businesses before I continue on the value-added services that we have in the app. Now, there you will see it has two tools. It has a SPENN Business and it has a SPENN Connect. Connect is our e-commerce solution. You could compare it to Stripe. So wherever you are going online and buying or purchasing things today, you are using a service behind it that handles the transaction. This is typically Stripe that is doing the Visa transaction for you, or the MasterCard transaction, whatever you are using. This is exactly the same here. And again, in a market where only 24% has a bank account, how could Stripe come in? They can't. They need a solution like this, but of course they could come and knock on our door. But instead we have built this on our own. So this is the tool that all the e-commerce companies are connecting to. As some of you might know, e-commerce is growing massively on African soil, and there is a problem connected to that. The problem is that there is no prepayment services. Now there is with SPENN, but meaning that they had to send out the goods on their own risk, and very often getting this sent back damaged, etc., etc. So a high loss on that. The other bulk we have on business is the flow. That's our salary tool. That's the tool for businesses to be able to disperse salary in a market where this is normally done cash and has an extremely high cost. We're talking very quickly up to 8%. They can now use our tool, and by paying a small subscription fee, they can now distribute this cash completely cost-free. The reason why I want to mention this first is because now when I'm going to go up to the consumer picture again, to the right, it says loans. Now we launched this loan product, which is a very unique product. It's a fully, of course, a digital product where people can apply for a loan. The only way they're going to be able to get a loan is if they have a deposit on their savings account. If they do have money on their savings account, they can borrow 2x the amount that they have on the savings account, given that they come through the credit scoring. The other alternative you have is by getting your salary into your account. So if you get your salary paid to your SPENN account, remember, SPENN is a bank account, then you can also borrow money with 50% of your latest salary. Then we have other value-added services such as airtime. You can pay your bills. There's a lot of features in there. We are also now looking into launching a crypto service, meaning that you can hold and you can buy and you can sell crypto. This means that we are also now opening up for the remittance market. So for people living outside Africa wanting to send money back home to their families, or for whatever reason, they can now use the crypto rails, which is very, very interesting, which means that I also can send crypto to my family back home in Africa. Now, this is quite important, and that is the fact that crypto is growing with an extreme speed. Internet grew with 63% year over year from 2000 to 1993. Knowing now that crypto is growing with more than 130% a year, and knowing the fact that Africa is the continent in the world with the highest uptake of usage of crypto, but the fact is that primarily all the capital is ending up in the black market. Now, so what we have done here is that we have integrated it, and we are running on the remittance rail. And by such, since we have the proof of origin on this side through the broker that is being used here, if you buy the crypto outside, and being sent down. We have the proof of origin, we have the KYC and AML on this side, and so do we have on the African side. For an African living in Rwanda that want to speculate in buying this as an investment tool, which is extremely popular because there is very limited tools for investments, and they have, this is kind of a way out for them. They can, of course, also do it in stocks if they have access to it, but very few do. Now, this gives them the allowance to also invest in buying crypto and holding it and selling it whenever they like, of course, with the risk that it carries. But since we have built it the way we have, and since we are always going through the fiat, so for example, when I'm sending crypto to my family in Africa, and when they're going to go to the store and buy whatever they're going to buy, if they're going to buy a Coke, they can still pay with crypto, but the crypto is then in the background being exchanged into local currency, and they're literally paying with the local currency. But it's a tool where people can pay with crypto in any store, but we are now helping the government to take control of something that I don't have control of from before. Exactly this is the VAT, the taxes, and of course, they will also get access to the dollar, which is very beneficial for a lot of these countries. We have got our endorsement and approval from the ICT ministry and the ICT minister herself. So we are very happy for launching this tool soon, and we are just now implementing this as we speak. Next slide, please. I guess we take all the questions in the end. Let me see. I have 3 minutes left. Okay, so I don't want to waste too much time on this, but again, it's all about the ecosystem. It's all about how we capture the capital within the ecosystem. So we do have, as I've now been taking you through all the products that we have, every one of these products. So the savings products, we are making additional 3.5% on airtime and bills payment. The utility providers are paying us a fee on transactions. On the business solutions and the connect solution, it's a subscription fee and a transaction fee. And loan is also, of course, there is a fee on establishing the loan. There's a fee on the interest. And again, what is very important to say here is the bank's product is the bank that owns the customer, is the bank that owns the deposit, but we are getting our share out of it, which is a very, very good deal for us, which means that we don't have any risk on capital being lent out, and neither do we have any responsibility for the capital being paid back. But as you heard, it's already securitized either through through salary, or through the fact that you have a balance on your savings account, which is being blocked when you take that loan. So it's a very, very beautiful product. Next slide, please. Yeah, I've been talking about the revenue streams. Since I have very little time left, I think I'm gonna go through this very, very quickly. So we do have, obviously, from the bank, we have the connection fee or the license that the bank is paying us for a tool. We have the maintenance fee, which is a monthly fee. We have also the loan fees. And then we have the third-party commission fees. And then we have the connect tools, which also is fee, as I explained. And then we have other third parties companies, such as Solar Village, Uber could be one, et cetera, et cetera. Next. Yeah. In the African market, we also do have mobile payment operators, and there is other players. And this is just to showcase what kind of unique advantage we have in Africa. As you can see, if you can read it, it's a little bit unclear to me, but literally we are, let me help you a little bit on this one. So bank and network agnostic, we have open and free account and earned interest, seamless money transfer, purchase and payment options, user-friendly application, etc., etc. So you can see that we are ticking all the boxes while others are not necessarily doing that. Next slide, please. And this is the final slide. So I just wanted to share with you also what kind of ESG goals we are ticking off. And as you can see, we are taking up quite a few of them. And we are, of course, very proud to do that. but gender inequality. We have no poverty, obviously, and of course also decent work and economic growth. We are now employing more than 30,000 people, indirectly or directly. Of course, we also do have the partnership for the goals, and it also affects on hunger, on education, on industry innovation, etc., etc. So there is quite a few more. I assume this presentation can be shared with you as well. So if you jump 2 slides more, thank you. This is pretty much SPENN, and I think I was pretty spot on time.
Thank you, Jens. Let's go over to some questions. We can start with the user base, because in 2020 and also in 2021, you saw quite strong increase, especially in registered users. So can you talk about the recent development that you've seen over the last 6 months? Do you see any difference in the development between registered users and active users?
Sure. I also have, I can see that Staffan, my CFO, is also on this call. So Staffan, please feel free to fill in if there is anything that I'm missing out on. So the strong growth that we saw through 2020 and 2021 was very much also driven by the Corona situation. A lot of people were limited in moving, and they used this as a tool for payments of whatever services that you could get at home, etc. And also the need for being able to send and receive money. And also it was a new market launched in February to 2020, wasn't it? That was the year that, 2020. And we had a very high adoption in that market in Zambia. I think we got from launch till pretty much a half year later, we were close to 500,000 users. So we had a very decent growth in the Zambian market. So that is pretty much it. We are still growing strongly, but what we are doing is we are focusing more on the business solutions. And the reason why we are doing that is because that is also giving us a higher retention. It's very important for us to have a high retention on the app and also the usage of the app. So therefore, we have focused a lot on the business sales. So you can only imagine when we are going to big clients, just use Uber as an example, where they have a lot of drivers and where they are paying the salary to all of the drivers, or the commission to all the drivers through our system. That onboards them, and that increases the usage of the app in a completely different way, which is also very important for us. A lot of people that is downloading the app with us is very often also people that doesn't have a lot of money, although it's a tool for everyone. Which means that very often the pattern of the people, what they do is that they deposit the money that they need to buy what kind of services they wanted to buy, for example, airtime, where they want to pay the bills. And they literally you spend all the money to pay the bills, and the account is empty until the next time they need this kind of services. So what is an incentive for us to do this slight change of direction, or not direction change, but a slight change, is to make sure that we are also targeting whatever brings the float or increases the float. That is, everything is driven around the float. So the deposit capital that we generate to the bank, because that's also where we gain our revenue.
And you mentioned the business side here, and it's interesting to understand how you work with sales and marketing and onboarding new customers. Can you please just explain how you work towards the customer? Do you work towards the business customer and then the business customer onboard the consumer, or is it vice versa? Can you please elaborate a little bit around that?
Yeah. Obviously, if I understood your question correctly, so when, for example, I onboard a business, like now we have onboarded a company called Irembo, which is all the tax payments in Rwanda. When they are coming in as a Connect user, they are now offering people to pay their taxes through Irembo on SPENN. Obviously, that creates a completely different usage, and people very often then have to download SPENN to pay their taxes, because that's a more convenient tool than, for example, going to an office and paying it. So this all adopts into usage, and also, of course, it adopts users. Was that an answer to your question? Or
Yeah, basically. So the
Yeah.
next follow-up would then be sort of how do you direct the business customers with sales and marketing initiatives?
So a business customer in this case could be, let's just take McDonald's or Wooba Wooba, which is a customer of ours, but let's use McDonald's. They don't have McDonald's here, but let's use it as an example. So a McDonald's would be our business customer. That's the one who is being onboarded, who's paying the subscription fee, who's now can either pay their salary to the staff as a spend flow customer, or they can also use it as a connect solution, which meaning that, okay, I could also pay for my food using SPENN. So number one, when they are then paying salaries to all their employees, obviously what will now happen is that all the employees has to have SPENN, because with SPENN you can also send money to whoever you like. You don't even need to think if they have SPENN. So if I send money to you on SPENN and you don't have SPENN, you will still get a message saying that, hey, I sent you this money, you have to download the app. So obviously this will onboard more users, number one. Number two is, of course, it increases transactions, because what they will do, they will start using SPENN again for doing whatever they like to do, with paying taxes, paying whatever they have to pay for. And therefore, it's important for us to onboard more and more of these kind of users. For example, also what we have as a customer in Rwanda is the university, one of the bigger universities, where students can pay school fees and everything through SPENN. So again, it's an incentive for people to actually have it. Why would they choose SPENN? Because it's cheaper. All our transactions, sending and receiving money, is cost-free. So when they then go to an agent and deposit money into their account, because that's what they have to do, that's the first step. You have to convert that fiat into the digital. And that is cost-free. And when they do that, then they can pay a cost-free school fee service. If not, they have to pay maybe 2-3%. So they are very focused on these small cost elements, which is then driving growth on our side.
Yeah. And in terms of use cases, can you talk a little bit about sort of what are the main use cases here, and what does the customer use SPENN for mostly? Is it the savings account, which is sort of the main product here, or remittance?
No, well, it's a lot. It's taxi services, which is of course very popular. It's called Bora Bora. There's these motorbike taxis. It costs, like, for us, it's a penny to go from A to B. It costs you maybe $1 to drive, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 kilometers. So it's quite cheap, and they are very popular. We are partnered with them. That's Diego in Rwanda, for example. That's one who you're using the services for. As said, I mentioned a couple of others. We also do have Kazang, of course, in Zambia, which is huge. You can go to any ShopRite to kind of take it to the other end. So this is more on the, let's say, more the mature part, where we have ShopRite, which is similar to Rema 1000 or Meny here in our markets. You have all the gas stations where you can pay for gasoline. So this is, there is a high usage. So to make it, maybe break it more down to an understandable term. So how you use Vipps today in Norway, I'm not sure about this in Sweden, how far you have come, but how you use Vipps in Norway is pretty much how you, or let's even better, how you use your Visa card is pretty much how you can use SPENN in these markets.
Sounds good, Jens. Thank you for the presentation. See that we are running out of time now. So thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the ones who listen in.
Thank you.